Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Me too.
Yeah, so I'm asking, so which side do you want me to touch?
Okay. First, I understand the sales aspect, like the POS, the point of sales, and also after sales, then like the process, putting a shift. After sales, then consolidate. Then I'd like to throw more light on this when you are doing the accounting process.
The what?
I would like
You would like me to
the
what?
process. We have two aspects of buyers. We have the people that buy at a discounted rate. These are the dealers who resell, and the who buy for home use. And the rate is different, and they are having the same quantity to give us issues, trying to sort out our account to know the total dealers that bought for the day and the total end users that bought for that particular day. And also,
Let's pick them one after the other. Let's pick them one after the other.
all right.
If I understand you clearly, you said those that buy from you, which are working customers and your dealers, right?
Yes, sir.
So, what do you want me to explain about that?
Okay. In the point of sales, we have one fee. There's the amount there is fixed on a particular rate. So how
Okay.
do we differentiate? How do we differentiate? Okay, this is the amount for an end user, the working customer, and this amount for the dealer. We input them manually.
Okay, so let's go into the POS aspect. But you understand the aspect of receiving your product, right?
From that is from purchase now.
Yeah.
Please, you will need to touch that a bit.
We need to be specific so that we know what, otherwise be going back to these things again. So let's, if we can write it out one after the other. So if you want me to touch that, so which means we have to start from that aspect first, because it's the first thing. Product comes in and product goes out. You understand? So we'll start from the aspect of when you are receiving products.
All right. All right.
So I spoke about we spoke about purchase order, which is a document that actually requests that you need some products. You understand? So you need to raise a purchase order stating that you need this particular product, and this purchase order is sent to your suppliers. So let's assume you have low products and you need to replenish it. You need to buy more to it. I don't know how you do it now. Maybe you send a mail to them or you carry your truck to them, whatever way. But you can use the system directly by raising what we call a purchase order. So this is the purchase order. Hold on. Purchase order. Is it my system? Okay, yeah. My internet is kind of slow. See? So, and let's look at add new purchase order. So, because we are using training, I'll take this back to training. Now, the dates at which you are raising this particular document or you want it to record, you want it to affect your account. So let's say, let me just pick any date here. So this is the date that is I make the request. So now, supplier, give me one of your supplier that does this.
You can use stock gap.
Okay, so stock gap is the first one. So now let's assume I'm telling them that, oh, this is the date I'm raising the document. I want it to be supplied maybe 2 days after. This is October and September. Let's say I just want these. Let's say on Tuesday. No, yeah. So I want it to be supplied by these dates. Then what else? Like we also said, you need to specify where the product is going to be stored. So which is your target warehouse? So let's pick our target warehouse. We have all warehouses created there. Let's say I can't even remember how we said it. Okay, no, goods in transit. We're receiving it into goods in transit before we transfer into the. So goods in transit. Then I'll pick product. So what is the product? LPG. I'll pick the product LPG that required by based on this data I've selected here. This is when we expect to supply. Now, what is the quantity? What quantity are we looking out for?
Say 20,000.
So 20,000 kg. At what rate?
The amount will determine it depends on the rate is not fixed, so you can use any.
Whatever we are doing now, we are doing a test. I'm asking you just because I want you to be able to give. Let's assume what rate do you want to use in this process?
Okay, let me come in here. Let's say, for example, now the process we use, the current process we are using. First, we make payment for the product. Let's say the product is 14 million naira. That's for the product itself. Then at the end of the day, we don't enter it immediately. After the product arrives, we have to pay for the logistics, now which the amount is not fixed. We have to pay the driver and all of that. So at the end of the day, we sum it up. We sum it all and arrive at the amount here. Then from the amount, we divide the amount by the quantity we paid for to get the rate.
Let's assume 14 million. When you do 14 million to them, at least you should know what quantity you are looking out for. So let's assume 14 million. So 14 million divided by 20,000 will give us the rate. So let me use a calculator here.
I will give us 700.
So I have 700. So I'm putting 700 here. This is what I'm getting from the supplier. The other thing you are adding to it, it is your own cost, not the supplier's cost. So this is what I have. So this is what goes to the supplier. Now, so the cost center is Calabar for now. Then what else? No tax, nothing. You save it. So this document, on a normal day, you are supposed to send this document to your supplier stating that these are the things you need. That is a purchase order.
Okay.
So it becomes on draft until this is draft. So when you click on submit, it actually shows that you are done with it. You've confirmed that whatever value that is here is what is expected. This is not recording payment. Please take note of that. This is not recording payment. This is just a request that you want to buy products, and at what rate, with what quantity. So let's assume I submit this. So you might decide that you want to print this, maybe for filing or sending to your client or to your supplier rather. You can always print this. So I'll go back. So this aspect is completed. So this shows that yes, you want to buy this product. So the system will automatically create it and tells you the status. The next status is to receive it. So by the time you come here again, on that same document, so you now need to either receive it or make payment. For instance, what you want, okay, so you said you make payment first, right, before it is being delivered.
Yes, sir.
So in this process now, I can say payment before doing purchase receipt. So I do payment. That is my system that is slow. What? Okay. So I have a payment here. So what date do you want to make the payment? So you need to specify the date. Let's assume that was in September. Let's say we're making the payment on this day. So I'm making the payment. The payment type is pay. So the supplier, this is the supplier. Then we don't need to select this here now. Let's see. Okay, so this account will be credited, and it means that this account will be debited. This is Calabar 30 cash. So this is what I did. Clicking here, it gave me this. This was what is there. So if you believe that this is not the bank you are paying from, you need to change the bank account. So let's assume this is not the bank. I'm not using petty cash. Let's see if there's another cash there. So I can come here, let's say from Polaris Bank. I choose Polaris Bank. Account paid from Polaris Bank. So this is what I did. Then also you can also do that through a mode of payment. So if you come to your mode of payment here, you can see that all the banks have also been created. So if I select, let's assume I select Access Bank now. I select Access Bank. You can see that this changed. Let me go back there. You can see that this changed. It was Polaris I chose here before, but because I chose this, it changed this. So you might use this mode of payments as well for it. So all your banks have been created here. You can say MFB2. I do my tab. You can see. So this is the GL account that is going to be affected. This is the GL account that is going to be affected at that point. So that's 14,000. And because you have raised a purchase order, so you can see that that same purchase order is here. At times, you may raise a purchase order and you are not paying the full amount. So it is whatever you are paying that you are stating here. So if you are paying, in your own case, you are paying the full amount. So you leave it as it is. But in situations whereby you make part payments, which means you have to change the amount here. So immediately you do that, whatever you need to do now is, okay, I think the system will ask you for a check number, so or a reference number that you use in making the payment to the bank. So you can state your reference number here. Let's say this is the reference number. Then also I'm going to use the same date I used here, which is 0609. So this. So the check reference date. So all things being equal, I just click on save. Save is just to keep it, to show that this document has been entered, but it has not hit the GL account. So you are not going to see any effect on the GL account until you click on submit. So by the time you click on submit, then it brings up this for you, then you click on yes. So it means at this point you have made payment. You have made payment to the purchase order that you raised earlier. So if you decide that you want to check the ledger entries that were done on it, you can click on ledger to see all the details of transactions or the double posting that was done. So you will see that this particular account was debited, which is this account, and this account, which is a payment was made to this control account, while the payment was made from this control account, and that is all about that. So that shows that you have raised a purchase order and you have made a payment on that purchase order. Now you now need to receive the product. So for you to receive your product, you have to go back to the purchase order you raised earlier. I think I have network issue. So purchase order. So I also have to go to my purchase order list. So stay on this. So by the time I click this now, so this is still the same document. So if I come here now and say create, so the next thing I need to do is a purchase receipt. So I click on purchase receipt. This means that they've come to supply the products. So what date did they supply the product? I need to specify. If it is not the same date, I just click on, I want to edit the posting date. Hold on, please.
All right.
Yes. So I state the dates I'm receiving the product. Let's assume it stays September. I'm receiving the product in September. This time around, let's say I don't even remember the date. Okay, let me just pick these dates. Hello, Mr. Francis, are you there?
I'm with you, sir.
Okay, the network went off. So now this is the date it's going to be received, and this is the time it's going to be received. If you have delivery notes your suppliers are bringing, enter your delivery notes here. Your truck number, enter your truck number here.
The delivery note, I can use the way bill number now, right?
Yes.
For the delivery note.
Yes, the way bill number is the delivery note. So
right.
Your truck number too, you enter your truck number there. Now at this point, when the product is being delivered, from what I note, you deliver everything into the tank, into your tank.
My boss usually handles that aspect.
Okay. So,
but you can still, I would still like to know so that in case he's busy at the moment and I'll be handling the whole process.
So what we discussed was that you are going to receive first into goods in transit. So this is the goods in transit. You are going to receive it, which is this goods in transit, and the quantity. accepted. So this is, you are receiving the whole thing. That is, you are receiving the whole thing from your supplier into this particular warehouse. Then at this rate. Still hold on, you know there's still additional charges, right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll talk about additional charges. But this is the product that has been delivered. So all we just need to do is to click on save. So the only thing we did here was we put the waybill number, we put the truck number, we put the date at which we are receiving it. Then what else? Then that's all. Then I click on save. Then I click on submit. So that aspect is completed. If you go and check your warehouse, if you go and check this warehouse called goods in transit, you are going to see that product there, 20,000. So how do you check? You can use from here. Is that you check your for you to check what's it called, the account, the accounting ledger, your ledger account. You can use this for your ledger account. So as at this point, you can see that this particular account, which is stock of LPG in transit, is debited, while stock received but not billed is credited. At this point, you have only received the product. You have not done the invoice. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You have not done the invoice, so that is why it is here. So you will go out of here. What we need to do now is to now raise what's it called? If you look at the product now, if you look at this status, now let me go back to the status. So that look at this status. Oh, I'm supposed to say exactly. So you can now see to bill. So the next thing the system wants to do is to bill the cost, is to raise a bill that the suppliers have raised for us, which is the supplier's invoice. So we are supposed to do that. But what we did was just to receive the product, more of a way bill that the product has been delivered to us. But before we do that, we need to do the additional costs. And the additional costs are the what's it called? Maybe offloading,
logistics.
Yeah, all those logistics. So, yeah, so we need to do that. But before we do that, I want us to so that we can see the effect. The product, the cost of the product as at now is what? 700 naira.
Okay, 700 naira
per unit. So by the time you will receive, we raise what's it called? Additional cost. We expect it to increase from 700 to maybe 730, depending on the extra cost on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, what do we do here is to go back and look for something called landing cost voucher. The landed cost voucher. So landed cost voucher list. So if I click here now, so this is where you raise a voucher for the product that has been received. So all I just need to do is to click on add landed cost voucher. Now, because it is delivered the same date, that is, the charges has to go on the same date. If I can remember the date we used, September 5th, okay?
13th, that's the payment was September 5th, then the product arrived on 13th, I guess.
Okay,
Should be
so
13th.
is it 13 or 12? I think. So we can still find out. So let's say I want to find out about that now. Let me just open in another tab. So to make it easier, I can just go and check the document for the. So let's say purchase order. Let's check our purchase order and drill down into it to see when it was received. Okay, when it was received. So we're supposed to go and check purchase receipts. So let's check our purchase receipt. So which is this. So we received it on the 11th.
11th September.
Yes, 11th of September. So we are going to use the same date. So we are using the same date. So we are changing this to training. So now, because we need to attach this thing, we need to attach this additional cost to a document, and the document can be in two forms, which is the purchase receipt, which means that we must have raised our purchase receipt before doing this, or we must have done a supplier's invoice before doing this, any of them. So but in this situation we are using the purchase receipt, so you have to choose your purchase receipt. So this is a purchase receipt, then it's supposed to drop down. So now it's going to drop down all the documents that was raised. So let me go back here again and check. This is the same document. So the number is, this is the number of 10 0010. So I have to look for, yes, I have to look for that number. Okay, so this is it. This is it. So I have to pick it, which is the last. So you can now see that is there. So at this point I pick, so I can tell the system, oh, get the items from this document. Get items from this document by just clicking on it and to populate it. So automatically it populates the doc. So you have 4 items there, 6 items there, is going to drop down those items on this particular document. So any item that is not included in this document will not be dropped down here when I click on get items from purchase receipt. So now you now need to specify the charges. Look at this now, applicable charges. Whatever charge you, applicable charges here, whatever charge you do here will be updated here. So let's say now, which expense account are we using? Which expense account are we using?
Let's say, can you scroll down?
I'm scrolling down. We have loading, logistics. Are you there, sir? Are you there? Hey, network. Oh, is it my network or Mr. Francis' network? Let me refresh this one to see. Mr. Francis, I think it's your network. If you can hear me. Hello, Mr. Francis. Hello, Mr. Francis. Can you hear me? Hey. I want us to cover a lot. Mr. Francis, can you hear me, please? So you can see my screen, right?
It's a bit, now I'm using my smartphone, so
Oh,
I'm only managing. System is not coming up. The router is slow.
oh, the system is not coming up.
It's from the router. We are using a router for
Okay.
office use. Although it's the same network.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Maybe I will still post it on the YouTube channel that you
Okay.
can always
For
go
sure.
and watch it. So let's just continue. Whatever you can still get on this level. So we were talking about how we can include our additional cost. We want to include additional cost, which is your landing cost, into the purchase receipt. So I was talking about the expense account that will be affected. So what expense account do you want to charge it into? So at this point, we have logistics, we have
Logistics,
Yes.
loading.
Yeah, so those are the 2 year. So I don't know if those are the things you will be using. I know
What of course? What of now? Sometimes my manager goes with the driver for product sourcing. Getting product is a very difficult task lately.
so
Sometimes
I
my
didn't get
manager
that.
goes. I said sometimes my manager has to go with the driver to go and source for product because lately it has become a difficult task. So we have product sourcing, and where do we include that one? Also, have money for the driver. There's a allowance we give to the driver. So do we just add them?
Do you charge that to your additional cost?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it means that now you're going to get something clear. Are you saying that the cost of your LPG, if it is 10 naira, so all those research and all that, if it is 5 naira, it will be added to it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what you do.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So in that situation, yeah, you can also have it. You can have it as you can add it to the logistics as well.
Okay.
For instance, let me put logistics here. So logistics, then you can give a description. Let's use example of some of the things you are saying. Let's think of whatever charges, any other charges that can be added to.
Okay, let's say product sourcing.
Okay, so I have product sourcing here. So I can add it. So how much?
Let's just say 40,000.
Okay, 40,000.
Then driver.
So the driver.
And logistics.
So what do you call the driver? What's the description of the driver? Driver's allowance.
You can still come on. Yes, like allowance for driver.
Okay, so
that one will come under logistics. It's still under logistics.
Still under logistics.
That can come under the description.
Okay, so I can say driver's allowance. So how much is that?
Let's say 15,000.
15,000. Okay. So which one again?
Payment for truck.
Okay, so payment for truck. So let's look at so payment for truck is still under logistics, right?
Yes, logistics.
So let's say truck hire.
Yes.
How much?
Let's say 700,000.
700,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Then you can go to loading,
loading.
expense
Okay.
account loading. You can just say loading expenses.
Okay. So how
Let's
much?
say 60,000. 60,000.
60,000. Okay, so I think that is all.
That should be done. That should be done.
So it means that your total cost will be this 14 million plus this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So divided by it will be 7 or 800 and something. So let's look at it. Total charges is going to be 800 and something. Then how do you want the charges to be distributed by quantity? Yes, we want it to be distributed by quantity. So what we are going to do is just to, I've explained this, how you want it to be distributed. You can decide that you want it to be distributed by quantity. So let's assume you have, it's not only one item you have here. Let's assume it's not only one item. Let's say maybe you're also dealing with PMS. I'm just giving an example, right? I hope you understand. Let's assume you are also dealing with PMS. So you can, and the same purchase order carries LPG and PMS. So in this situation, your PMS could be, let's say, 50,000 liters. So in that situation also, you can decide that if you are spending this 815, it means that the system is going to apportion the amount based on the quantity. It will be that to get the value of this, this one will now be 50,000 plus 20,000, that's 700,000. To get an apportion of this will be 20,000 divided by 70 times 815,000. So to get the apportion on what's it called, PMS, will now be 50,000 divided by 70,000 multiplied by 815,000 to just get. So but this one is just one product, so it is more like you say 20,000 divided by 20,000 then times 815,000. So in that situation, so because we are using quantity, the system will just use this quantity to divide and apportion. So if it is also an amount, so if I say an amount, it means that the system will not use this quantity again, it will use this amount. So just think about when you have two products here, so it will look at the amount against the charges. And also, if you want to distribute it manually, you can enter the value manually yourself rather than you letting the system distribute it automatically for you based on the computation. So whatever we are going to choose here should be quantity. I'm choosing quantity there so that the system can apportion it based on the quantity that is involved. Then I say save. So when you say save, what the system will do at this moment is just to record this in a document. So for you to have a proper recording into the GL account, just click on submit. Permanently submit this, yes. So this has been posted into the GL account. But note something. I want you to note something at this moment. You know what we did was just to apportion, what's it called? Record the whatever additional cost. Yeah, we are only putting it on what's it called? The item, which is the product, to get the exact to get the exact unit cost.
Great.
Yes, to get the exact rate at this point. But remember, you pay the money out of somewhere, right? And whatever we are doing
Yes, sir.
here has not affected our bank. So which means that you have to do the other aspect of the bank as well. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand.
Exactly. So because if you look at the accounting entry for this would be that your stock account is going to be debited with this value, while all this account is going to be credited. So, and in that situation, because the stock account has absorbed the value, we are also supposed to record the bank or where the money is being paid from. We are supposed to record it. So as at that point in time, we are supposed to debit our bank or credit our bank and debit this account as well, based on the value we have recorded here. So let's look at something. Let me show you something at this end. So if you go back to let me see. Okay, this will not give us okay, let's see something. We are going to just take note of this account. We are going to go and drill down on this transaction. So we are done with this, so I'll close this. 11:09. So this particular transaction is completed. So we can go back into maybe getting our stock ledger. Let's check our stock ledger. So the dates, let's just choose September. Yeah, let's choose September. From these dates, just want to believe this date September as well. Let's say 11. There are a lot of transactions there, so let me streamline it to be very simple. Oh, this is even blank. Let's say September 11. Let's just choose a single date here. I think this network is slow at my end as well. This is the 20,000 we have brought in. The 20,000 we have brought in, and you can see the value charges. Look at this now. I'm trying to check our stock ledger. You can see our stock ledger has 14,815,000.
15,000.
Yeah, so you can see. You can now see that the incoming rate is now 740.
40 against 700.
Yes. So now this is average rate. That is the rate you have been using from the beginning of the system till date. This is what is giving you. But for this particular transaction we did, this is the valuation that the system has deducted for us. So you have that. Now I want to show you the implication. Let's look at that's for the stock ledger. Okay, let's just let me see. I'm trying to see if this is for. Remember, we have not also done the supplier's invoice. Let me just accounting ledger. That's the training. Oh. Later, you are going to have the two companies available. What you have as at now is just training. So you are going to have the two companies available for you. I hope you are still there. This one that you have gone off again. Okay, you are still there. Thank God. Let me just. Okay, so yeah, so this. So if you can see this, yeah, it is your network. Yeah, so it's crashing. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hey. This network is disturbing me.
Okay.
You can hear me, sir?
I can hear you, sir. Sorry, a call came in, still I'm using my phone.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So what I did was just to go and check the purchase receipt document on the ledger account, so I can see the ledger account treatment. If you look at it, what the system did was to debit this stock, which is your stock in transit. It debited this. You can now see from 14 million, it is now 14,815,000. The same thing too with this. Okay, this one, yeah. So stock received but not invoiced. This is supposed to affect your creditors control account. So you can see this will not be affected. Your creditors control account will not be affected. But if you look at the logistics, it's credited. The loading is also credited. You can see the values here. So at the end of the day, you have a balanced transaction. So at this point, what do we need to do? So the next thing for us to do is to now make a bank payment into this ledger account. I hope you can hear me, sir. Mr. Francis. Hey. Yeah. Can you hear me, sir? Okay, so let's okay, so you can see this, right? You can see
Yes,
my
I
screen,
can.
right? Okay, very good. I've explained to you how we got this document. So if you decide to drill down that particular document, which is a purchase receipt document, it's going to allow you to see the double entry that was done. So for that particular document, your stock of LPG in transit was debited with the total value, which is the stock itself and the additional cost involved. So your logistics and your loading were as well credited with those same value. So that's just this. So like I said this particular account is not supposed, it should have what's it called? It should be debited and as well to be credited. So because you have not recorded the aspect of payment, because you're actually supposed to record payment on that particular transaction, what you did was to have the additional cost on your products. Now you need to make payments in terms of, like, you have to specify that you paid the money. So the other one was more of like invoice. So this one now is now like you are saying that you are making the payment. So you need to make a payment on this particular transaction as well, so that your logistics and your loading would have zero balance in your ledger account. So for you to do that, you need to go to your, what's it called, your journal entry. So if I go to my journal entry list, then I say add. Sorry. So I click on add. Let's say I had journal entry. So journal entry, then let's assume I'm having this one as September 11th. So this particular, so which bank? Let's assume I don't know the bank you may be paying this money from. So let's assume you are paying from Petty Cash. Let's assume you are paying for Petty Cash. I can just call this one logistics for, I don't know, you put the waybill number. Waybill, Then, so at this point, because we are paying out, so we are paying out 815,000, and here is logistics. I think this one is sound. I can still use this. I hope you understand what I'm doing, sir.
Too, I'm trying to follow the process.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand the process.
So this is going to be, I think, 755,000. Yeah, I think so. Then this is loading. Just a loading. So this is 60,000. So this shows that the money you paid for this particular, what's it called? You paid money. Definitely you must have paid the money out of a particular box.
account. Yes.
Yeah, so it's either from a bank or your petty cash, wherever you must have paid it from. But you need to record it that you have made that payment out. So the other aspect, the first aspect we did was for the items, the items to absorb that total value of 815,000 as an additional cost. You understand? As an additional cost. But this point is for you to now record that the payment was actually made. So that is more like an invoice. Why this is now a payment to that particular invoice. So you just put this. So when you are done, also you can attach the document if you wish to attach the document anyway. Yeah, I think you can attach the document somewhere here. Let me see. Yeah, so reference number, let's say purchase receipt. There's no purchase. Okay, let's say no. Purchase receipt. Okay, that's not drop. Let's just stick to this. So you just have this. Then what else? So if you are done with this particular transactions, if you have anything to write or any remark, you can write it. Then you click on save. Then when you save, then you click on submit. Then you click on yes. So that particular transaction is completed. So which means that you will see if you go and drill down this ledger account. Let's say you drill down that ledger account. Either of this, you are going to see a debit side and also a credit side of that particular transaction. So I'm not going to let me remove this. So let's say this. Let me. So the system is loading. So if you look at this now, logistics was credited when you were doing the additional cost, which is the landing cost voucher, was credited, and at the same time, when we did the payments from the bank, it was then debited. So you're supposed to have zero value in your logistics account because that payment was actually paid. So in a situation whereby you did not make the full payment, it's only what you made payment on that you are going to record. Why on the additional cost or the landing cost, we would have the exact value that you actually made on that particular what's it called, purchase receipt. So all things being equal, then we are done with that particular transaction. So going back to, I will explain the process again. The first aspect we did was to raise a purchase order. That purchase order included that we are making a request for some products. When we made the request, a document was generated. From the document, we created a payment. I'll just go back on that again. Are you near a fan? Because there's a return report here. So the thing is, I don't know, because I'm recording this and you have that.
Should I pause my mic?
Yes, if you can, you can pause your mic. But when you cannot hear me again, just let me know. So, like I said the first aspect to this process. So we are looking at a process between procurement of your LPG to the payment aspect of it. Procure to pay. So the first aspect was you raise a purchase order requesting that you need this particular item or this particular product. So what we did, we chose the supplier's name to raise the purchase order. Then from this purchase order, after raising it, we need to make payments on the purchase order. And remember, the payment we are making is to the supplier. We are paying the total amount on the purchase order. So we are making a payment from here. So you make a payment by clicking on this and say payment. So when you click on payment, it will record that you have made a payment on this purchase order. Then after we've made our payment, the next process is to receive the products. So still on your purchase order, the same purchase order that the system has generated for you, you come to this create. Now you won't see this again. You won't see, but you will see it as, I think, the first thing instead of the purchase invoice, because the system still believes that you might want to make purchase invoice. We've not even done purchase invoice and also payment on this same thing. So it believes that you have received the full product. Yeah, because we have actually received it. So we are supposed to see a purchase receipt in here. So the purchase receipt you are seeing here is a receipt, an evidence that the product has been delivered. So when you click that, it will ask you the quantity that was delivered and what else? I think just the quantity, then the date at which the product was actually delivered. You can go through the video again, this particular video. So you are going to see all that process from the beginning again till this point. So after you have raised a purchase receipt, which shows that, oh, this particular product has been delivered, it's going to ask you for the truck number, which we supply. It's going to ask you for, what's it called? The truck number, the date, the will-be number. So we need to supply that. So immediately you do that, you process that, the system has recorded that you have received the product. But you have a scenario whereby you need to have additional cost. Now, that additional cost should be a cost on the product. It means that the cost of the product will increase. So, for instance, you received with 700 naira in this situation, but you have like offloading, drivers, logistics, and all that. So you want to have those costs embedded in the cost of products. So that is why we are having additional cost. So for you to record your additional cost, like I said earlier, you have to go through what we call landed cost voucher. So you will have something like this. So you have your landed cost voucher. You click on add landed cost voucher, which brings you, this was what we used, this particular document, I think. Yes. So the system would ask you what date. So, and it's also advisable to use the date you are receiving the product in the same relation to the date that this landed cost was recorded. Because that is the same date that you actually made additional cost on it. So you have that. Then the system would ask you what document type are you using. You can receive. Hold on, please. Sorry, please. Hold on, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, Mr. Lumide.
So please just give me a few seconds. I need to plug my laptop.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So can you hear me? I'm back.
Okay. Welcome back, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, like I said, you have your landed cost voucher here. which is going to ask you, which document do you want to add this landed cost on? Is it a purchase receipt or is it a supplier's invoice? In our situation, we are using purchase receipt. So you will pick the purchase, so which means you need to know the purchase receipt number. So you need to pick the purchase receipt and go and search for the number. When you click on purchase receipt, it will drop down different purchase receipts for you. Then you have to go and pick the one that you want to attach the additional cost on. So you pick this, then the system automatically drop the supplier's what's it called, code, and also the total on the purchase or on the purchase receipt is going to drop down for you. So immediately it drops down this, then we need the products. If you have 4 products on it, if you have 10 products on it, it's going to drop down everything for you. So in our situation, we have just 1 product. So when you click on get items from purchase receipt, it's going to drop down just that particular item on, which is just the LPG. So it's going to drop down LPG, then it requests, then automatically is going to drop down this, but this applicable charges is going to be 0. So now how do you then have this? So immediately you do this, you can start picking the expense account and start giving the description to those particular transactions on this additional cost. Then you look at this. So this is 40,000, 15,000. By the time you sum it up, you'll be adding 815,000. The system will automatically do this for you. Then distribute charges based on how do you want the system to apportion the cost. It can apportion those costs by quantity, it can apportion it by amount on the particular invoice or on the particular purchase receipt. So if you have 3 items, 4 items there, it will look at the quantities that are involved and apportion it based on those levels. So if you want to apportion it based on amount, the system can as well do that for you. So you just choose amount from here, and if you want to distribute it manually, you can tell the system you want to distribute it manually. But what is applicable in your case is quantity. So choose quantity and let the system automatically apply those charges on those quantities that are available. And when you do that, you click on save and you click on submit. So that aspect has been done. So you also need to record that you received, that you made the payment from a bank. Yes, you need to, just like you do your normal petty cash vouchers or payment voucher, you need to also record. So this is more like an invoice. This is more like an invoice to this particular document. So you now need to raise a payment to that invoice. So in that situation, for you to be able to raise your payment voucher, you go to your journal entry. So just like we have journal entry here, journal entry list, then let me just see, will I be able to get the dates? Let's just search for, okay, yeah, this is it. This is the first one. So let's look at this now, for instance. So at this point, you can see that the system, you can specify the bank you are paying out the money from, and you specify the ledger account. So these are the totals that are supposed to be in that account. So this is debited and why this is actually credited. So you have finished that process. But remember that what you have done, you have not yet completed the supplier's invoice, because there is still a supplier's invoice there. So for you to do your supplier's invoice, just go back to the same purchase order, pick the document, which is this, then then you click on create, then at this point you click on purchase invoice. So purchase invoice, by the time you click on purchase invoice, so let's say we are picking purchase invoice. So what dates are we using? It's either you use the same date, but it is always advisable for you to use the date at which the transaction was done. So the transaction, I'm changing the dates here. So let's say our what's it called? We made that transaction September, let's say 11th. Yeah, still using to 11th. So this is it. So it's been paid already. So we don't need to tick this. We can untick this because the supplier's invoice, the stock has. Maybe I'll remove that also. If we follow this process, we are not supposed to have this. We are not supposed to tick update stock. So if you tick on update stock, it means that it will go and just like it's receiving the product again, but we've already done the aspect of receive stock. So we'll just untick this. This must be unticked. Then what else? I think that's all. That's all I believe. So if you have, you can as well put the well bill number here if it is the well bill. But if you have the supplier's invoice number, you can as well put it on that level. I think that's all at this point. That's all. So you just click on save. Where is the system? Where is it? Okay, now do yes. So no. So it's just telling us that that particular document, that particular GL account, which says that supplier's invoice not bill or stock receipt not bill, that is going to use that account for its reconciliation. So and I click that. I said yes, you should use it. Then click on submit. Are you sure? Yes. I click on submit. So yeah, so it's linked against your purchase order, blah blah blah. Yeah, so I say okay. So at this point, the document is completed and that particular transaction is as well completed. So let's see. So now look at this account now. You're going to see that what the system did is now because this was the account it was asking us for the other time. Stock received but not billed. So it's going to debit this account. If you remember this account, let me remove this GL account as well. This document number so that you can see the whole transaction. I'm going to pick 11th of September. Let's say 11th of September. So you look at this transaction here. Look at this transaction. So when a payment, when the cash, look at this. These are the transactions that happened on this same date. Creditors, I think this one was payment. I think this was payment. I think, yeah. This was a payment. This was the first payment that we was this no, this wasn't, yeah, this was a payment where the what's it called? I think was this no, this was a okay, this is just the supplier's invoice we did. This is the supplier's invoice we did, which is credited, and this was debited. So if you look at the voucher type, this is the same account. So if you look at the purchase receipt, you see this same GL account there. The purchase receipt, which is this, stock received but not billed, which is this 14 million. You can now see that it has been debited. Here it was credited when we raised the purchase receipt because there was no supplier's invoice as at that point. That was why it billed this particular GL account. And when the supplier's invoice came, it debited the same account, then credited the control account for creditors. So this shows the complete transaction of those particular process. So the process we did was from procurement to payment. Now, what if you want to move the product? You can remember that the product is in goods in transit. Now, you need to dispense the product to maybe a selling point. If you want to sell now, you will not be able to sell. Why is it that you won't be able to sell? Oh, it's 4 o'clock already. Because the product is in goods in transit warehouse. So we now need to move it from goods in transit warehouse to maybe our selling point or whatever. So all you just need to do is to, there's a document here called, I think, stock entry. So if you go to your stock entry list, so you need to move the product from that aspect to, so on a normal day, whatever you have in your truck physically should be what you have in goods in transit. So for instance, that I want to move this, I'll just say we need to do a material transfer. So just say add stock entry. So when are you moving this? You can decide to move it when it is actually happening. So you edit the posting date to the date. If it is not today's date, you need to edit the post. Let's say we moved it in September. Let's say this September. So we are moving it. So now the stock transfer type, stock entry type has to be material transfer. So you move it from here to now. Where are we moving it to? The source warehouse, which is where is it coming from? We are moving it from goods in transit because that was where we received it. Then we are moving it into I think LPG tank, which is this. So, and that's all. So this is the product. Then you pick your item, LPG here. So we bought 20,000. Now, if you look at it, because the system is using average cost, that is why you have this 585, and you know there are different costs that has been coming into the system. But if you come on a clean note, it means that this will show you the exact average cost at which you are receiving with. But so at this point now, if I decide that how many do I want to move out of 20,000, let's say I just want to move 15,000. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to move 20,000. Let's say the system is going to use this rate, but let me see. Let's say 740 something, but the system will still use that rate. That's why when you are dealing with stock, you have to use the exact value or the state. So the system is calculating an average cost for you as at that level. So let me click on save here. Let's click on save. You can see that it is this 504 the system is still bringing back. So We cannot change this at this point. So the system will move that into that particular ledger account. So if I do like, let's say, submit now, this is the date. I click on submit. But if we had used LIFO or FIFO, if we had used LIFO or FIFO, it would make sure that it completes that particular item or that particular stock before moving to the next one. But what we did for you is an average cost. So let's look at save. Click on yes. So the system would move that particular quantity. So it means that this particular quantity has been moved to this warehouse. So if I decide to view, let's say, stock ledger, so you can see that the system moved this cooking gas from this warehouse, which is, you can see this is out, goods in transit, to LPG tank. Understand? So this is the final product. Do you have any question on that?
For now, I don't. I will have to practice this night.
Okay.
So I can master the process as well. I've taken notes and I'll practice this night as well.
So just write out those things you want me to touch. So I'll put those things in. You can't confuse them. I have another appointment right now.
Okay. Or can I use a voice note?
Yeah, you can use a voice note. Just send it.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.